Like over 20 years you were in wrestling, 28 years or something like that, and you go in the Hall of Fame. Did you ever think that you would go into the Hall of Fame the same year as the President of the United States? Because let's remember the celebrity inductee of 2013, Donald J. Trump.
Listen, I don't want to badmouth the WWE Hall of Fame. But I know, it's funny. I don't know how many people we have here, but like, I'm thrilled to be here, right? And I was thrilled when we had 101,000 people in Dallas, right? Looking around, Steve Austin's music hits, and I just looked around, and I know everyone's looking at him. I took it in because I'd never been in front of that many people before, and likely never would again. I took it all in. But the last time I was in front of a crowd, of that magnitude, was the Hall of Fame, the day after the Hall of Fame induction, at the WWE, at WrestleMania. And they have everyone come out, and I had a post-show celebration at a place called Foley's, right? It's 3 blocks from Madison Square Garden. I don't know if some of you know that I have a son, Mickey, who's on the autism spectrum. And I told WWE, like, he can't travel. Like, we have to stay in New York. We can't stay in Hackensack, because if you put my son on a bus 4 hours before the event, he's not going to be there. Like, he can't take crowds and all that. So everyone else had to go back to Hackensack. And I had a party. It was like a big party by my standards, like 11 people there, at Foley's. But we had to cut the party short because I had to go get sleep, because I had a 7 a.m. wake-up call to rehearse my Hall of Fame walkthrough, And so I swear to you, the only thing I could think of when I walked out there is they go, and Mick Foley, they're playing dun, 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 75,000 people out there, and all I could think was, they needed to wake me up at 7 a.m. to do this? Like, I'm a New York Times #1 best-selling author. They couldn't have told me what star to stand on. Donald Trump didn't have to get up at 7 a.m. That's all I could think of. I was looking at Trump like, he didn't have to wake up at 7 a.m. So I was just inside. It's more than just the horrible policy. Oh, sorry. It's going to show in the U.S.? White males going to see this in the United States? But I held a grudge against Donald Trump for not having to get up at 7 a.m. when I did, kicking me out of my own post-Hall of Fame celebratory party.
But you also, very quickly, initially, they were not going to put you on the TV broadcast.
Oh, yeah, man, I got hot.
And they were going to put Trump on.
Yeah, I don't know why I let that get to me. I really did. I heard that there was only maybe 3 people on the telecast, and that I wasn't going to be one of them, so they could make room for Donald Trump. And so my Hall of Fame speech was going to consist of me taking my ring off, throwing it to the crowd, and saying, this is one of the worst days of my life. And then I realized, wait a second. I went back to remembering something. Oh, I was watching WWE Raw, watching television when I was working for another company, for TNA. And Michael Cole actually said, our good friend Mick Foley has a new book out, Countdown to Lockdown, and they spoke so highly of me. And I made myself a promise right there that if I was ever asked, I would accept the induction without any qualifications. Like, I wouldn't ask to be on last, I would just accept it as it was. And so after complaining for 2 or 3 days, I apologized to the McMahons for any trouble I may have caused them, and I just resolved to have the best night that I possibly could. I was actually glad that I was on first, because I got to go out there, and not only was the audience, this is, fully aware, but my son Mickey was out there. It turned out to be one of the best nights of my life, and I just never thought I'd have a chance to address a crowd of that size. And I'm in the arena, Madison Square Garden, where I grew up taking trains to and hitchhiking to, where I saw Snuka dive off the top of the cage, and I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy this moment. But for a couple days, it was touch and go, and I was really thinking about throwing that ring into the crowd, giving the shortest speech in history, allowing Hillbilly Jim even more time